شاهی پاینده. Of course, we ache for anybody that has been collateral damage, but we are not apologizing for calling for our freedom. I went to the streets and I told people on the eve of that protest, why don't you chant your slogans, whether from home or on the streets, for freedom? And that's what they did. The result was the regime massacring people to the tune of 40,000 people or more in less than 48 hours. Should we say, oh, the regime will kill us if we call for our freedom, so we better not ask for it? What person, what patriots will shy away from asking for our freedom? That's all we did. Again, I think the world should be apologizing to Iranian people for ignoring them. You should be the ones apologizing to the Iranian people that for 47 years, your governments have appeased this regime. You turn your back on the Iranian people. They didn't rise up only this time. They rose up many times in the past 40 years. They rose when Khatami became the first president. He threw students from their dormitories when they were protesting the fact that he was not delivering on his campaign promise. Later on in the Green Movement, they were thrown under the bus yet again. During the Women Life Freedom Movement, symbolic gestures, but still continued the appeasement of the regime. Even today, as I speak to you, you're shifting back to a mode of appeasement. Again, I think you should be apologizing to the people of Iran for appeasing the regime as opposed to having their back. I'm here to tell you, we are asking you this time to support the Iranian people. And we're not going to apologize for that demand because I think the Iranian people deserve your support. And I told you, we will fight the fight regardless of whether you help us or not. But let that be on your conscience.
Today, on May 23, we Iranians and supporters of the Iranian people gathered here in Brisbane stand once again to be the voice of a nation that has been denied its most basic human rights for nearly half a century. A nation held hostage by a terrorist regime that has occupied Iran for the past 47 years. Today, the people of Iran are not simply living under a dictatorship. They are living under the rule of a regime that has declared war against its own people. For months, the Islamic Republic has imposed a nationwide internet blackout, turning Iran into a prison the size of the entire country. The regime is not merely attempting to shut down communications, it is attempting to bury the truth itself. Because the Islamic Republic understands that when the world cannot see its crimes, repression becomes easier. When families cannot speak, when journalists cannot report, and when the voices of millions are silenced, mass murder can continue in the dark. And behind this blackout, the world must understand what is truly happening. Executions, torture, forced disappearances, mass arrests, and the systematic slaughter of innocent Iranians whose only crime is demanding freedom. More than 40,000 Iranians were massacred during the recent nationwide uprising. Thousands more were wounded. Many injured protesters were hunted down even inside hospitals. Families were threatened into silence. And today, countless political prisoners remain inside the prisons of the Islamic Republic awaiting execution. This is not a government. This is not a legitimate state. This is a terrorist organization ruling a nation by fear, bullets, torture, and executions. And yet, despite all of these crimes, part of the international community still insists on speaking about negotiations, diplomacy, and new political deals with the Islamic Republic. We stand here today to say very clearly, there must be no more deals with this regime. The blood of the Iranian people must not be exchanged for temporary political agreements. The murderers of Iranian youth must not be rewarded with legitimacy. A regime that massacres its own citizens, cuts internet access for 90 million people, sponsors terrorism across the world, including here in Australia, and openly threatens regional and global security has no legitimacy to sit at any negotiating table as a normal government. 47 years of appeasement has failed. 47 years of concessions and normalization have not moderated the Islamic Republic. They have only made it more violent, more extremist, and more dangerous. Today, the threat of the Islamic Republic extends far beyond the borders of Iran. The regime exports terrorism, fuels proxy wars, destabilizes the Middle East, threatens international shipping routes, and uses hostage taking, intimidation, and blackmail as tools of foreign policy. Terrorism is not a side effect of this regime, it is part of its DNA. And what is perhaps most painful for most of the people of Iran is the silence of many Western governments in the face of these crimes. Governments that constantly speak about democracy and human rights have largely abandoned the Iranian people. Instead of standing firmly with a nation fighting for freedom, many continue searching for ways to normalize relations with this very regime that is responsible for mass murder. Here in Australia, we are witnessing the same failure of moral leadership. The government of Prime Minister Anthony Albanese and Foreign Minister Penny Wong has failed to meaningfully confront the crimes of the Islamic Republic. They have failed to seriously condemn the nationwide internet blackout. They have failed to strongly oppose the executions and massacres. And they have failed to stand clearly beside the national lion and sun revolution of the Iranian people. Silence in the face of mass murder is not neutrality. When governments continue speaking only of negotiations while innocent people are being executed, that silence becomes complicity. But despite all repression, despite all killings, despite all attempts to silence the nation of Iran, the Iranian people continue to fight for their freedom. And today, more than ever, millions of Iranians inside and outside Iran have united around one national figure and one national hope, Crown Prince Reza Pahlavi. Throughout these difficult years, Crown Prince Reza Pahlavi has consistently stood beside the people of Iran and has become the strongest voice for national unity, secular democracy, and the liberation of Iran from the Islamic Republic. The regime has spent decades trying to erase this reality through propaganda, censorship, and disinformation. But the truth is visible in the streets of Iran and across Iranian communities worldwide. The Iranian people have found their national leader in Crown Prince Reza Pahlavi. Today, we call on governments, media institutions, and international organizations to stop legitimizing the Islamic Republic. You cannot claim to defend human rights while negotiating with a regime that massacres protesters, executes political prisoners, sponsors terrorism, and rules through fear and violence. Our demands are clear. Stop the executions immediately. Release all political prisoners. Restore internet access across Iran immediately. End all forms of appeasement and normalization with the Islamic Republic, and stand with the people of Iran, not with their oppressors. And finally, we say this clearly. The future of Iran will not be decided by the Islamic Republic. It will not be decided by foreign deals between closed doors. The future of Iran will be decided by the people of Iran and their national lion and sun revolution for freedom. We, the Iranian diaspora, will continue to be the voice of our people. We will not remain silent. We will not step back. We will continue this struggle until Iran is free. Javid Shah and free Iran. Yes, they can keep ignoring us, but we keep fighting until make Iran free. It's not far away. That's why we chant, this is the final battle. This is the final battle. This is the final battle. Regime change for Iran. Regime change for Iran. Democracy for Iran. Democracy for Iran. Democracy for Iran. Freedom for Iran. Freedom for Iran. Freedom for Iran. Stop dealing with mullahs. Kick them out. Kick them out. Stop dealing with mullahs. Stop dealing with mullahs. Stop dealing with mullahs. No internet, no witness. They are killing in darkness. No internet, no witness. No internet, no witness. No internet, no witness. Islamic Republic. Islamic Republic. Down with Islamic Republic. Long live Iran. Long live the Shah. Long live Iran. Long live Iran. Long live Iran. Long live Iran. Javid. 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 پاینده 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 وسط شهر تو قلب شهر دونه دونه کم شدیم تو جنگ تن به تن تو شام آخری که رنگ سفرش خون به گور مادرم تو منتظر بذار میزن کوچ بر همه صدامو اگر نبودم بعدی بدون جامو بدانم بریز به پای اشتیاق این شدیدی داشتنی در من دار بیرونی میخون دارم میسازی دارم فردا ما میبینیم دیش بار شهران میخون صدا سازی فردا فوت شب شکسته شده با شما سرود زندگی نوشته شده با شما خوشا به حال ما که زندگی تا فدا کنی جون بس شما نفس نفس تو شده سینه ها نفس شکسته میشه در انتها بزرگ وقتها مادر بگم روایت این نورد و تو قصه ها قصه ها قصه ها قصه ها Joey! Joey! Thank you, everyone. I want to talk a little bit about the Iranian people, about our fight, about our struggle for freedom. But I also want to address the posture of some of the Australian politicians towards the situation in Iran, especially Penny Wong. The Iranian people are extremely brave. We don't give ourselves enough credit for it, but it's very true. We are one of the bravest people anywhere in the world. And let me put that into context for you. We are fighting against the most vicious and brutal terrorist regimes anywhere in the world. The Islamic Republic is not just your standard dictatorship. It does not have any boundaries in the level of brutality it is willing to impose on our people. The most brutal atrocities that you can think of, this regime will commit. And our people are fighting this regime and they are doing it empty handed. And we should be proud to be Iranian because our people are very brave. But we are not only fighting for our own freedom. The same entity that massacred our people in January, the same entity that has shut down the internet for 83 days, and the same entity that is executing our people has also wreaked havoc on Australian soil, on European soil, and on American soil. They have carried out terrorist attacks in Australia. That was confirmed by ASIO. They have carried out terrorist attacks in Australia, in Europe, and in America. This terrorist regime is not only our problem. Whether Australian politicians like it or not, it's everyone's problems, including Australia. But some of our politicians seemed to be a bit obsessed with criticizing Israel. And I'm talking about you, Senator Wong. Not sure if you can hear this speech, but if you are, I'm talking about you. Senator Wong has been awfully silent about the executions that are happening in Iran. And she has also been awfully silent about the digital blackout that is being imposed on our people. It's almost 90 days, and she hasn't said a word. But to be fair, she hasn't been completely silent on Iran. What has she said? Well, she has been trying to continuously throw a dying regime a lifeline by calling for a ceasefire in the US-Israel war against the Islamic Republic. Senator Wong, your appeasement is shameful. You were quick to put out a statement condemning the Israeli National Security Minister for mistreating literal Hamas supporters who attempted to break a legal blockade but have been silent about the execution of Iranian teenagers. Senator Wong, you are weak, and so is your government. And because of this weakness, you are putting Australia's national security at risk. As I've said, the Islamic Republic is everyone's problem, including Australia. They will destroy your country, and I hope you are not waiting for that moment to learn your lesson. Stand with the people of Iran because it will benefit you as well. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Atena to the stage.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. Today, we stand at one of the most sensitive and decisive moments in Iran's modern history. After years of war, terrorism, oppression, executions, corruptions, and destruction, the Islamic Republic is now weaker than at any point in the past 4 decades. a regime that once saw itself, because I cannot see it. Okay. Okay, just a second, sorry. A regime that once saw itself as the unquestioned power of the region is now exhausted and unstable, facing the will of the Iranian people, international pressure, and deep internal crisis. But the main question is this: what comes after the Islamic Republic? The people of Iran are not only fighting to bring down a regime, they are fighting to bring Iran back, to restore national pride, to restore a national state, to restore their historical and civilization of identity. And this is exactly why the role of Crown Prince Reza Pahlavi has become more important than ever before. When we speak about Crown Prince Reza Pahlavi, we are not only speaking about a political figure, we are speaking about a continuation of a historical consciousness, the continuation of same idea that kept Iran alive for thousands of years, Iran Shah, a land built on unity within diversity, a land where different ethnic groups, religious and cultures live together under the protection of a strong national state. Cyrus the Great, Darius the Great, and the kings of Iran used power not to destroy differences, but to protect coexistence, order, and justice. And this is exactly what the Islamic Republic has never understood. The Islamic Republic fears diversity. It fears women. It fears Iranian youth. It fears knowledge. It fears Iran's history. And more than anything, it fears the name of Crown Prince Reza Pahlavi. Why? Because the Islamic Republic knows that Crown Prince Reza Pahlavi is not just one man. He is a symbol of connection between Iranian people and their historical memory, national identity, and a different future. Today, when the youth of Iran march in the streets, when they sacrifice their lives for freedom, when they stand in front of bullets, they are continuing the same path that once made Iran one of the greatest civilizations in history. Crown Prince Reza Pahlavi has said many times that future of Iran must be built on rule of law, secularism, human rights, and equality for all citizens. An Iran where nobody is oppressed because of their religion, ethnicity, language, or beliefs. An Iran that can once again inspire the region and the world. And today, in the middle of the war and chaos that Islamic Republic has created to survive, we understand more than ever that the absence of a true national state in Iran is not only a tragedy for Iranians, it's a threat to the entire region and the free world. The people of Iran no longer believe this regime can be reformed. They have moved beyond the Islamic Republic. And among all the divided and weakened political groups, the only figure who has kept the trust of a large part of the Iranian people is Crown Prince Reza Pahlavi. Not because of his family name, not because of his stability, responsibility, deep understanding of Iran's history, and his understanding of the spirit of our time. Today, our duty is not only protest. Our duty is to protect national hope. Our duty is to stand beside the people of Iran. Our duty is to protect national unity. Iran is not just a country. Iran is an idea, a civilization, a living historical memory. And we, the children of that civilization, will never allow the Islamic Republic to become the final chapter of Iran's history. Long live Iran, long live the Iranian nation, and long live the hope that millions of Iranians today see in the name of Crown Prince Reza Pahlavi. Thank you.
Unity for Iran! Unity for Iran! Freedom for Iran! Freedom for Iran! Democracy for Iran! Democracy for Iran! Regime change for Iran! Regime change for Iran! I would like to say a few words in Persian about Seper's speech. واقعا تصورشو بکنید 40,000 نفر قتل عام شدن 90 روز اینترنت قطع شده هر روز جمهوری اسلامی داره اعدام میکنه و وزیر وزارت خارجه استرالیا خانم پنی وونگ هیچ موضعی در مورد این جنایت نمیگیره. کی فکرشو میکنه که در تمدن غرب ما روزی رو شاهد باشیم که دولت‌های چپگرا رسما در برابر جنایت جمهوری اسلامی این چنین خیانتکارانه سکوت بکنن؟ ما ملت ایران صادقانش اینه که هر آنچه که در توان داشتیم انجام دادیم، یعنی واقعا به خودمون افتخار بکنیم. اگر امروز جمهوری اسلامی هنوز رو قدرته تا به اینجا به خاطر استراتژی مبارزه من و تو و شاهزاده رضا پهلوی نبوده. ما استپ با استپ جلو اومدیم، سنگرهای زیادی رو از دست دشمنمون آزاد کردیم و این مبارزه ادامه داره. اما اگر دولت‌های غربی، همون انگلیسی که هنوز سپاه رو تروریستی اعلام نکرده اما قبلا گفتم عکسای خمینی ملعون و سال 57 چاپ میکرد میفرستاد ایران، هنوز سپاه رو تروریستی اعلام نکرده. اگر اینها کنار ما می ایستادن نابودی جمهوری اسلامی کاری نداشت. پرزیدنت ترامپ هم یک اشتباه استراتژی و راهبردی داره، فکر میکنه که میتونه در وجود این تروریست ها ذره شعور، انسانیت، منطق و بعضا منافع ملی پیدا بکنه. برای همینه که هی آروم آروم داره میره جلو، اما داره به این نتیجه میرسه که به هیچ وجه با این تروریست های رافضی نمیشه کنار اومد. اینها ذره‌ای برای من و تو ایرانی ارزش قائل نیستن. زیر ساخت میخوای بزنی بزن. سپاهی اهمیتی نمیده. سپاهی سرزمین ایران حاضر سرزمین سوخته بکنه اما اونجا بمونه. برای همین ما به وظیفمون عمل کردیم، به این مسیر ادامه میدیم، اصلا به خودمون ذره شک نکنیم عزیزان. واقعا دارم میگم، مگه میشه 40,000 میلیون ها نفر برن تو خیابون تو 2 شب بنابر اساس فراخوان رهبر انقلاب ملیمون 40,000 نفر جانشون رو فدا بکنن و کماکان ادامه بدن به مبارزه و ما احساس کنیم که بعضا کمکاری از ما بوده که هنوز جمهوری اسلامی تو قدرته. این چیزیه که رژیم میخواد که ما ناامید بشیم. ما دیاسپورای ایرانی هم واقعا حماسه خلق کردیم. شما روز اقدام نهایی رو تصور بکنید، 400,000 نفر در تورنتو، 250,000 نفر در مونیخ، 400,000 نفر در الی. در شهر بریزبن ما کلا 12,000 تا ایرانی هستیم که تو ایران به دنیا آمدیم. 10,000 نفر بر اساس گزارش پلیس در بریزبن حضور داشتیم. دیگه چیکار باید میکردیم که نکردیم؟ پس ما وظیفمون رو انجام دادیم و دقیقا تو مسیر درست داریم حرکت میکنیم. جمهوری اسلامی رهبرش کشته شده، بعد از 90 روز هنوز برای این رهبر نکبتشون نتونستن یه گور دست و پا بکنن. رهبر دومشون هنوز واقعا نمیدونه وجود خارجی داره یا نداره. اینکه آمریکا یک تحلیل اشتباه داره به جمهوری اسلامی برای چند صباحی بیشتر عمر میده. اما عزیزان شک نکنیم، ما استراتژی مبارزه‌مون رو عوض میکنیم. ما میلیون ها نفریم، ایران مال من و تو ایرانیه، ما ایرانمون رو پس میگیریم. شده ذره ذره اون قاتل‌ها رو به سزای عملشون برسونیم. هر چقدر هم که میخواد طول بکشه، این مبارزه نهایتاً به نابودی امپراتوری شیعی منتهی خواهد شد. ما تاریخ بشریت رو عوض میکنیم. به خدا نمیدونیم که داریم چی کار میکنیم. بعدها در مورد من و تو ایرانی مینویسن تو تاریخ که ملتی بود که از حمله اعراب و افغانها و مغولها نجات پیدا کرد، گرفتار امپراتوری شیعی شد اما تسلیم نشد، دست خالی جنگید. کشورهای اروپایی و چپها هم کنار جمهوری اسلامی ایستادن اما به مبارزش ادامه داد تا روزی که اینها رو نابود کرد و ایران رو پس گرفت. ما الان تو دل تاریخیم، خیلی درکی از کاری که داریم میکنیم نداریم، اما زمانی که جمهوری اسلامی نابود بشه تازه میفهمیم که بشریت رو ما نجات دادیم. ما در حال نجات تمدن انسانی هستیم. خیلی بزرگتر از آن چیزیه که داریم انجام میدیم مبارزمون. برای همین اگر زمان میبره، اگر هزینه برداره، اگر توش خسته میشیم، خیلی طبیعیه، خیلی طبیعیه. اما حق نداریم ناامید بشیم. ما حق نداریم ناامید بشیم. ببخشید طولانی شد صحبتام. امروز اختصاص دادیم به جاوید نامان بیمارستان القدیر، فاجعه تراژیکی که در تهران در شب 18 و 19 دی 8 و 9 ژانویه رقم خورد. یک تصویر هستش که اصلا خیلی سورئاله، واقعی نیستش. از بالا گرفتن تو بکیارد بیمارستان القدیره. جانهایی که لای پتو بیجانن، اما انگار خوابیدن، انگار به یک خواب عمیق فرو رفتن، انگار که واقعی نیست اون صحنه. ما میخوایم اون صحنه رو امروز اینجا تداعی بکنیم. سعی کردیم پتوهایی که همرنگ هست رو بیاریم امروز. احتیاج به 9 نفر داوطلب داریم که برای چند دقیقه وقتی که داریم نام و یاد این عزیزان رو گرامی می‌داریم، شبیه آن چیزی که در بیمارستان القدیر بود رو اینجا تداعی بکنیم. میدونم سخته، میدونم پر از درد این تجربه، اما ما چاره‌ای نداریم. باید دائم به یاد خودمون بیاریم که چرا داریم به این مبارزه ادامه میدیم. اگر کسی تمایل داره از شما عزیزان، ما از قبل نخواستیم هماهنگ کنیم، خواستیم خود دوستان، کسی تمایل داره، ما احتیاج به 9 نفر داوطلب داریم که بیان اینجا اون صحنه رو تداعی بکنیم. و عزیزانی هستن که پوسترایی رو ما براشون چاپ کرده بودیم در دست دارن. نام 21 نفر از همون جاویدنامان بیمارستان القدیره. اگر تمایل دارید عزیزان، بیاد کنار استیج بیستید. فائزه جان یک اوپنینگ در مورد فاجعه بیمارستان القدیر دارن، اما کسایی که پوسترها دستشونه، من ازتون خواهش میکنم بیاد کنار استیج که امروز ما نام و یاد جاویدنامانی که قراره بخونیم برمیگرده به همین عزیزانی که در بیمارستان القدیر جان فدای میهن کردن.
ما ملت کبیریم، ما ملت کبیریم، ما ملت کبیریم، ما ملت کبیریم، ما ملت کبیریم. Alternative for Iran, alternative for Iran. قسم به خون یاران، قسم به خون یاران، قسم به سربداران، قسم به سربداران، قسم به خون یاران، قسم به سربداران. هر یه نفر کشته شه، هر یه نفر کشته شه از بیرون تهران. ای داغ دیده مادرم، ای داغ دیده پدران، دلاورانت سرفراز و سوار. دل زنانت این پاره های زمان، این جوانان این گونه می خروشند. هزارانی سر سبیل از بهار خونش Coming down.
Thank you, everyone. Please join me in welcoming Faiza to the stage, who is going to read the story of the massacre, the genocide that happened.
SOS for Iran! 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 SOS for Iran!
درود به همگی. این هفته طبق روال هر هفتهمون قرار بود که روایت 2 تا از جاویدنام هامون رو بخونیم، اما امروز قراره که راجع به حادثه القدیر صحبت بکنیم. داستان 21 جاویدنام و 21 زندگی. من یک متنی رو براتون میخونم و بعد از اون چند نفر از عزیزانی که اینجا هستن هر کدوم میان اینجا و یک متن کوتاهی رو راجع به این 21 نفر از عزیزان ما که از دست دادیم و جمهوری اسلامی در بیمارستان القدیر حق زندگی رو از اونها گرفت براتون میخونم. شاید یک کمی طولانی بشه، ولی ما فقط نمیایم اینجا و این متنا رو نمیخوریم. این متنا ما نوشته میشن، عکس گرفته میشن، رکورد میشن، توی مدیا پابلیش میشن. 100% در آینده راجع به این جنایت ها کتاب ها نوشته خواهد شد و ما در واقع داریم سند جنایت بزرگ جمهوری اسلامی رو امروز و اینجا ثبت میکنیم. This week, we plan to talk about our 2 Iranian fallen heroes as usual. But instead, we're going to dedicate this time today to the Al Ghadir incident. published by Iran International, an unhuman, violent crime by the Islamic Republic. Today, we gather not only in mourning, but in defiance. We gather to bear witness to one of the darkest crimes committed by the Islamic Republic against the people of Iran. A crime carried out not on a battlefield, but inside the corridors of a hospital, inside Al Ghadir Hospital, a place that should have been a sanctuary for the wounded, a refuge for the dying, a place of mercy and healing. Instead, it became a crime scene. On the nights of January 8th and 9th, the street of eastern Tehran ran with blood. Young Iranians flooded into the streets of Haftoz, Tehran Pars, and Nizamabad after answering the call of Prince Reza Pahlavi and Iran's national revolution. They came with empty hands, but with hearts full of courage. They came carrying nothing but hope, love for Iran, and the dream that one day their homeland could be free again. They stood not only for themselves, but for an entire nation held hostage for nearly half a century. They stood for their parents who lost their futures in 1979. They stood for children not yet born. They stood for women humiliated by tyranny. They stood for political prisoners rotting in cells. They stood for the silenced, the tortured, the executed, and the forgotten. And they knew the price. Many of them kissed their mothers goodbye, knowing they might have never returned home. Many sent final messages to friends and family before stepping into the streets. Some wrote wills, some embraced their loved ones one last time. Because deep in their hearts, they understood the truth that freedom is never given willingly by tyrants. It must be fought for, it must be earned through sacrifice. These young men and women made a conscious decision to stand against one of the most violent terrorist regimes in the world. They knew they were facing snipers, prisons, torture chambers, and death squads. And yet they still walked forward. Because they believed Iran was worth dying for. While much of the free world remained silent, the people of Iran stood alone on the front lines against the terrorism of the Islamic Republic. With no weapons, no protection, no international rescue coming for them, only courage, only hope, only the belief that future generations deserved a better Iran. And for their courage, many paid with their lives. At Al Ghadir Hospital, wounded protesters seeking treatment were haunted even inside emergency rooms and hallways. Witnesses described IRGC terrorist forces storming into the hospital, sealing the doors, firing tear gas into the corridors, and even shooting wounded protesters lying on the hospital beds. Bodies were dragged into storage room and abandoned in the rear courtyard. As grieving families searched desperately for their children among courtyard. As grieving families searched desperately for their children among blood-stained blankets and lifeless bodies. The regime believed fear would bury this revolution. They believed terror would silence a nation. They believed these young lives would disappear into darkness and be forgotten. But they failed. Because today we speak their names, today we tell their stories, today the world will remember who they were. They were not criminals, they were Iran's bravest sons and daughters, students, workers, athletes, artists, dreamers. Young people who wanted nothing more than the right to live freely in their homeland. And though their blood was spilled across the streets of Tehran, their sacrifice will not be in vain. The Islamic Republic may have murdered them, but it could not kill the spirit of a nation awakening. It could not extinguish the dream of a free Iran. And it could not erase the love millions of Iranians carry in their hearts for their country and for the future they are fighting to reclaim. Today, as we prepare to read the names of the 21 identified victims connected to Al Ghadir hospitals,
We do so with sorrow, but also with pride, because these fallen heroes became part of Iran's eternal story, a story written with courage, sacrifice, and resistance. And we make this promise to them today. We will continue this fight until Iran is free. We will continue until the Islamic Republic falls. We will continue until justice is delivered for every innocent life stolen by these terrorists. We will continue until the families of the victims no longer have to search hospitals, courtyards, and cemeteries for their children. And one day, the flag of a free Iran will rise again over our homeland. That day will come because no tyranny lasts forever. No dictatorship survives against a nation willing to sacrifice everything for freedom. Their names will live forever, their memory will live forever, and their blood will become the seed of Iran's liberation. Long live Iran, Javid Shah. I'm going to read you about our first Iranian fallen hero from this list, and then our other fellow Iranians here will tell you about the other 20. Aida Aqili. Born on July 23rd, 1991, was killed during the January 8th process in Haftahoz, Tehran, after being shot twice in the head while chanting slogans for freedom. Before leaving to join the protest, Aida embraced her mother and spoke about how she wanted her belongings handled if anything happened to her. Despite intense pressure from the IRGC terrorist forces and security agencies, Aida's body was buried according to her final wish beside her grandmother in Behesht Zahra Cemetery. In her final words, Aida wrote about pain, hope, and her love for freedom. Even through all the wounds and suffering, she said she still believed that freedom would one day arrive. January 8th. This is a statement read by Aida Aqili's sister on her 40th day of memorial that Aida wrote on her 34th birthday. متنی که براتون میخونم متنیه که خود جاویدنام آیدا عقیلی در تولد 34 سالگیش نوشت. من این متن رو هم به انگلیسی هم به فارسی براتون میخونم. و خواهرش این متن رو در 40مین روز یادبودش 34 years have been passed since the moment I opened my eyes to this world. A world that was not always safe and not always kind. In these years, I laughed, I cried, I fought, I broke, but I stood up again. 34 years have passed and I still breathe with a hidden anxiety deep within my bones. With a war that lives both inside me and inside my homeland. A war that was shaped in the streets of my city, in the silence of nights filled with fear, in voiceless screams, and in the exhausted yet hopeful eyes of people who still have not surrendered. I am a child of this soil, a soil whose wounds have remained upon my soul, a soil that still has not embraced freedom. And through all these years, every morning I open my eyes carrying the grief of my homeland. I am 34 years old, but sometimes it feels as though I am 1,000 years old. From all the pain I have witnessed, from all the sorrow I have swallowed, and from waiting for a dawn that still has not arrived. But despite all these wounds, I am still alive. There is still a hope breathing somewhere in my heart. I still believe freedom will come. I believe this long night will finally end, and I still know how to love humanity, to love life, and to love a homeland that, despite all its wounds, is still my home. Happy birthday to me for enduring all this pain, for not surrendering, for still knowing how to remain hopeful, even when the world is fighting against me. 34 سال از لحظه‌ای که چشم بر این دنیا باز کردم گذشته است. دنیایی که نه همیشه امن بود و نه همیشه مهربان. در این سالها خندیدم، گریه کردم، جنگیدم، شکستم، اما دوباره ایستادم. 34 سال گذشت و من هنوز با استرسی پنهان در میان استخوان‌هایم نفس می‌کشم. با جنگی که هم در جان من در جریان دارد و هم در وطنم. جنگی که در خیابان‌های شهرم شکل گرفت. در سکوت شب‌های پر از اضطراب. در فریادهای بی صدا و در نگاه‌های خسته اما امیدوار مردمی که هنوز تسلیم نشدند. من فرزند این خاکم. خاکی که زخمش هنوز بر جانم مانده است. خاکی که آزادی را هنوز در آغوش نگرفته. و من در تمام این سالها هر صبح با بغض وطنم چشم باز کردم. 34 ساله‌ام، اما گاهی انگار 1000 سال عمر کردم. از بس که درد دیدم، بغض فرو خوردم و منتظر صبحی ماندم که هنوز نیامده است. اما با تمام این زخم‌ها هنوز زنده‌ام. هنوز امیدی در گوشه‌ای از قلبم نفس می‌کشد. هنوز باور دارم آزادی خواهد رسید. باور دارم این شب طولانی تمام می‌شود. و هنوز بلدم دوست داشته باشم. دوست داشتن انسان، دوست داشتن زندگی و دوست داشتن وطنی که با همه زخم‌هایش هنوز خانه من است. تولدم مبارک. برای خودم که با تمام این دردها دوام آوردم. برای خودم که هنوز تسلیم نشدم. و برای خودم که هنوز وقتی تمام دنیا با من می جنگد بلدم امیدوار بمانم.
قسم به خون یاران ایستاده ای تا پایان. قسم به خون یاران ایستاده ای تا پایان. قسم به سرمداران ایستاده ای تا پایان. قسم به سرمداران ایستاده ای تا پایان.
Muhammad Talebi Torogi, shot in the head and left in a hospital storage room. Muhammad Talebi Torogi was 35 years old. According to reports, he was directly shot by IRGC terrorist forces during the January 8th protests near Haft-Huz in Tehran. The bullet entered from behind and struck his head. After the shooting, his body was taken to Al-Ghadir Hospital and left in a hospital storage room. Muhammad was the son of a man killed during the Iran-Iraq war. People close to him say he loved motorcycles and martial arts. He was known as a skilled rider with a free spirit. He survived a lifetime of hardship, but he could not survive the bullets of his own government. Amir Hossein Imam Jomeh, 20 years old and the father of one daughter, was critically wounded by direct live ammunition during the protest on 8 January 2026 in Tehran Pars. He later lost his life after being transferred to Al-Ghadir Hospital.
Iran fallen heroes Hossein Ali Sarani, a family forced to buy back their son's body. Hossein Ali Sarani was 44 years old, protester from Golestan province. After being shot on January 8, he was transferred to Agadir Hospital. According to people close to the family, they waited an entire week before his body was finally returned. But first, they were forced to pay 500 million Taman. A grieving family, imagine, had to buy back the body of their loved one, January 8, 2026, at Agadir Hospital.
Mohammad Rahman Radvania, 28 years old, and an athlete living in Tehran, was fatally shot in the head on the evening of 9 January 2026 in Nizamabad, Tehran, east of Tehran, while trying to help an injured girl. Mohammed was a kind-hearted young man, an athlete, and an animal lover who spent even the final moments of his life helping others. His 40th day memorial ceremony was held on the same day as his birthday. He was a final hero.
Abolfazl Najafi Arun, a family forced to pay for a burial. Abolfazl Najafi Arun was only 25 years old. On January 8, near Tehran Pars, he was hit by 3 live bullets fired by IRGC terrorist forces. According to reports, he was taken to Al Aqadir hospital and underwent surgery. His family says he was still conscious afterwards. He even spoke to people beside him. Then suddenly they were told he had died. People close to the family say authorities refused to allow his burial in Behesh Zahra Cemetery. For permission to bury him elsewhere, the family was forced to pay 1 billion tumans. Friends describe Abolfazl as kind-hearted, loyal, and deeply loved by everyone around him. Hamid Reza Haqqarast. He was from Rasht, Ilan province. According to the reports and testimonies, he joined the January 8th protest after the call from Crown Prince Reza Pahlavi. During the protest near Hafez Street in Tehran, the IRGC terrorist forces shot him directly in the groin area. Witnesses say he was left bleeding on the street for a long time before finally being transferred to the Al Ghadir hospital. But even there, he did not receive proper treatment. He died from severe blood loss. According to the reports, the family of the victims were not even allowed to identify the bodies for days. Hamid Reza's body was withheld from his family for 4 days. Authorities demanded approval, signature, and condition before releasing his body. Hamid Reza was his mother's only companion and provider. After his death, she was left alone. Your journey continues. Hamid Reza, Akbaras, Ruhat, Shad.
قسم به خون یاران قسم به خون یاران قسم به سربداران قسم به سربداران
Iran's fallen hero. After pressure from authorities and after signing a pledge, his family received the body and took it to a workshop in Paradis Boumehen. The next day, when no doctor agreed to issue a death certificate, his family took the body to the first to Paradis police station and then with a police letter to Kahrizak. When the family went to Behesh Zahra for the funeral and burial, they discovered they had been given the wrong body. After hours of searching, they were finally able to recover Hani's body and bury him late that day. Iran's fallen hero, Hani Ganji, January 8, 2026.
هر یه نفر کشته شه 1000 نفر کشته شه هر یه نفر کشته شه 1000 نفر کشته شه
Amir Parsa Ashbus. Amir Parsa Ashbus was 21 years old and in his final turn of studying microbiology. Before joining the January 8th protest, he had sent an audio message criticizing those ignoring calls to gather while people his age were preparing to risk arrest or death. According to information received by Iran International, Amir Parsa joined protests and around Haftar's with his friend and was shot in the neck by a sniper. His body was later placed in a blue blanket in the rear area of Al-Gaidi Hospital. A video obtained by Iran International showed his mother searching for his body at the hospital. Friends described him as a kind-hearted and deeply interested in football.
ما ملت کبیری ایران مستی ما ملت کبیری ایران مستی
Iran fallen's hero, Huria Ghulam Ali, a young man crushed by the Islamic regime. Huria was 32 years old and working in Tehran computer market. According to the report, he was shot and killed by government force near Hafhoz on January 8th. His body was later abandoned in the yard of Al-Gadir Hospital. This is why he joined the protest. They say he deeply loved nature and traveling. Whenever he had free time, he escaped to the mountain forests and open area skis. He was a young man searching for a peace in a country that Islamic regime killed him.
می‌جنگی می‌میری
ایران رو پس میدی
می‌جنگی می‌میری
ایران رو پس میدی
Mohsen Shah Mohammadi, he fought for 2 weeks. Mohsen Shah Mohammadi was born in 1988. According to reports, he was shot by RJC terrorist forces during the January 8 protest near Tehran Pars. The bullets struck his stomach and kidneys. He was transferred to Al-Qadir Hospital and remained in a coma for nearly 2 weeks. For 2 weeks, his family waited and hoped. But on January 23rd, his body finally gave up from the severity of his injuries. Mohsen was unmarried. People close to him say from the moment he was shot, his condition was critical. He fought for life for 2 long weeks.
از بریزبن تا تهران از بریزبن تا تهران
Hossein Naseri, a father who wanted to sacrifice himself for the young. Before joining the protest on January 9, he said, "I go to these protests for the next generation." When asked to wear a mask to protect himself, he answered, "Let me sacrifice myself for you young people." On his second night at the protest, he was shot by security forces. The bullet hit a major artery in his leg. People rushed him to Al Qadir Hospital in Tehran, and according to witnesses, he was still alive on the way there. Security forces stormed the hospital as wounded protesters were being brought in. The person who had carried Hussein to the hospital was forced to flee. 4 days later, his wife found his body alone in Kahrizak. He was buried quietly without a normal funeral. His 2 children living outside Iran did not even know what happened to their father.
Islamic Republic terrorist, terrorist, Islamic Republic, Islamic Republic.
Gholam Reza Mojdehi, 52 years old, was killed during the protest on January 8, 26 in Tehran Pars. He suffered a fatal gunshot wound to the neck, severe injuries to the head, and multiple stab and machete wounds. He was married and the father of 2 children. Despite having a stable financial life, he joined the protests out of solidarity with the people and concerns for freedom.
Down with Islamic Republic! Down with Islamic Republic! Down with Islamic Republic! Down.
Hossein Haydari. He was a 50-year-old dad who was shot and killed on January 8th protest in Haftoz. He was shot in the back of the head and his side just 2 days before his birthday. Hossein was also a passionate Istiqlal supporter, known for his joyful spirit, warm laughter, and kind heart. Their family were forced to identify his body, and identify they did, but through the boots his daughter had gifted him just days before. Before joining the protest, Hossein wrote, "Everyone belongs in the streets, every night until freedom. We won't sit down for even a moment."
قسم به خون یاران! قسم به خون یاران! Setare Rafi. Setare Rafi, the young girl whose body was abandoned in the storage room. Setare Rafi, 19 years old, and 19 years old only, was killed during the protests in Thursday, January 8, 26, in Tehran Pars after being shot directly in the heart and the head by 2 live bullets fired by IRGC terrorist forces. Her family found her body among piles of abandoned bodies in a storage room at Al Qadir Hospital, among many other corpses.